Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue VA, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, the Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from a full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 653 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Robert Frieman. And if you want to hear our conversation about For the Love of Chiropractic, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. It's episode 653. Today I have Robert Frieman coming on with me. I'm really excited to talk to him about things that he's interested in and a couple things that I'm curious about. We're going to discuss knowing the purpose of why you do what you do, a message to young chiropractors and to be involved with chiropractic while you're going through school and to keep learning. And we are going to discuss how you can keep learning through podcasting. I'll let you know our big why, then we'll get into Dr. Robert's story, how he got into chiropractic. Our big why is this. Freedom of speech. We find it's very, very important. I'm sure that people can attest to seeing things of concern over the past handful of years with censorship, and we would never censor you guys. We know what it's like to be traffic throttled and shadow banned. So we believe that it's very important to keep freedom of speech alive and well in chiropractic. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. They're not the same things. If you need guidance on any of this information, find a chiropractor in your community or us, Dr. Robert or myself. And as we get into the philosophical approach to chiropractic, we do protect the sacred trust. We believe that that's a very important part of this profession. If you don't know what that is, go check out our show notes and check out the sacred trust. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you ever did previously. I guarantee you, even if you're a chiropractor, go revisit it. We support subluxation-based chiropractic. We believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical, gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, and that leads to people to attain educated intelligence. And with that, this is episode 653 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Dr. Robert Frieman, welcome to the show.
I am so happy to be here with you, James, and thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and you do a podcast too. We'll talk about that as we flow today. But I'm really curious, and this is the good opener for everybody to be introduced to you. And they might be clients of yours, patients of yours, colleagues of yours, friends and family that might have not remembered why you have went upon over 30 years as a chiropractor, but maybe re-invite people into your story and tell people how you decided that chiropractic was the right path for you.
So again, over 40 years ago, I was on a path to become a medical doctor. My dad was a medical doctor. My grandfather was a medical doctor, lots of medical people in the family. And I was going down that path. I mean, even as a small child making rounds with my father at the hospital, the patients would ask, "Oh, are you going to be a doctor like your daddy?" And I'd say yes. And whether that was programming or not, I knew that's what I had to do and be. Well, as time went by and I was going down that path, and I started learning the things that are taught in medical school. I was a graduate student at the University of Maryland Medical School, and I was learning the anatomy, the physiology, the biochemistry, and learning more and more about how this human body works and the intricacies and the balance and checkpoints that it has to keep it working normally. And I became more and more fascinated with, with this human body machine. And it is just the coolest thing. And as I was progressing through the program, because it was medical school, they were sprinkling in. So when things go wrong, this is what you do about it. You do surgery, you cut that part out, or you use the strongest chemistry that we have figured out to overpower the body to force it to do something different. And those two facts just kept banging in my head that this doesn't make sense. The human body is this elegantly balanced machine. Why would we have to cut parts out or overpower it with chemistry to force it to do something different? So I left the program, wasn't sure what I was going to do, and had to get a job. So I actually applied to work in a chiropractic office. A good friend of mine who practices here in Baltimore, Maryland, his name is Dr. Mitch Adolph, great chiropractor. He didn't hire me. He looked at my resume and said, "Why are you here?" "I'm looking for a CA to help me empty the trash cans and move patients into rooms." And I explained to him my dilemma, and I told him I wanted to learn more about this thing called chiropractic because I knew nothing about it, other than it's something about natural health care. He invited me, he didn't hire me, as I said, thank God. He invited me to come back and shadow him. And I went into the room, and there was a patient face down on the table, and he did something that I now know is a full spine diversified adjustment. And the guy got up off the table and looked at Dr. Adolph and went, "Oh my God, that is so much better. I can move." And the light bulb went off. That's what I'm going to do. Applied, transferred all my credentials, and moved to Chicago, where I went to chiropractic school. Less than 6 weeks later, and there was no.
So you went to National, huh?
Yeah, that surprises people sometimes. Yes, I did go to National. And for me at the time, it was the absolute correct minded background. And at least at that time, the National College of Chiropractic, that's the viewpoint that they came from. So I got a great education about how to be a doctor, learned how to adjust, sharpened my skills, and really got and fell in love with chiropractic and subluxation based practice after I graduated.
And let's fast forward now.
Okay.
And after connecting with you, and I've been on your show,
You have been.
I've talked to you on For the Love of Chiropractic. That's his podcast. You should check it out. And you've been working with associates and young docs. And how long have you been doing that?
So I had been in practice for maybe 5 or 8 years. Built a surprisingly large practice in a short period of time. And one of my mentors said to me, "You should hire associates. You should hire associates." And I was having so much fun helping as many people as I possibly could. I was not interested in that. And he said to me on a conversation one day, he said, "Robert, you've learned so much and helped so many people so quickly. It would be a shame for you not to pass on what you've learned." And oh man, that hit me like a ton of bricks, like a knife in the chest. Yeah, there's a responsibility to help more people, help more chiropractors become successful also. So I hired my first associate, and there was a learning curve there. He learned everything there was that I could possibly teach him about how to run a successful practice. And he's gone on to have a wonderful, successful practice of his own. We worked together for about 5 years. And when he left, brought in another doctor. And that started this, I won't say revolving door, because each doctor stayed with me for a couple of years to learn all these things. And the vast, vast majority of them have gone on to have wonderful practices, not mirroring exactly what I did, but what they wanted. They took what they had learned, but their twist on it, and have become successful in their own right. And I'm proud of every single one of them.
Well, I believe that this lines up perfectly with what I'm really curious about. You started mentoring and having docs come in and becoming associates. And then how long did you do that process for?
I did that right up to the time that I sold my practice. The last doc that I brought in, who's a fantastic doctor, Dr. Becker, he and his wife, they are both fantastic chiropractors. I hand selected them to take over the practice. I continue to work there on a part-time basis because I still love seeing patients. They learned everything that they needed to learn, and the practice has just continued to grow.
Well, see, that's like the real like love of it all. Have you seen any drop off of enthusiasm or talent over the course of bringing people in and apprenticing under you and getting them to launch into their own careers?
So what I've seen is not necessarily a loss of enthusiasm. Over the past 20 years, there definitely has been a change in mindset of younger doctors. 20 plus years ago, doctors would get out of school, with whatever their student loans were, and they were hell bent on building a practice, building a career, using whatever resources they had. And what I see nowadays is the current generation is much more interested in the work-life balance. They're not doing the 24/7 thing. And by the way, that does not mean that you still can't have a successful practice. I think it means you're going to have a more well-balanced life, and I respect and admire that. I frankly, I wish my generation had seen some of that.
Well, I think that, you learn from the generations of what excites people.
Sure.
And I think, from as much as I've touched this profession, I see that they always say we stand on the shoulders of giants. Well, those giants had big dreams to go out there and to start practices all across the nation.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have social media to guide them on what to focus on. Or, I think a lot of those docs 20, 30 years ago got out and they thought, they had the enthusiasm to go change the world. And, hell or high water, they're going to create a practice and see 500 a week. And they didn't care if they had a vacation or, I just see that the work ethic was much different, like you mentioned. And there wasn't a whole lot of balance, but those people took the profession so damn serious that nothing else mattered.
Right.
And that's why we have the pathway that we have today, that chiropractors can say, yeah, I kind of want a work-life balance when I finish my education. And I do think that the game has changed quite a bit, and the commitment level has changed quite a bit.
I'm not sure the commitment level has changed. I think with social media, I agree with everything you've said. I think with social media, it has changed. It's added a dimension of how the chiropractor can reach out to the public at large. When 30 years ago, when I went into practice, there were really only two ways to directly meet people. And that was one-on-one, at an old school spinal screening or something like that, some sort of community event. Or you could do what I call 1 to 10, where you're doing a lunch and learn. You go into a business and you talk about chiropractic, and you invite those people to come and see you. Well, now in today's world, we have what I call, so there's the 1 to 1, you can still do that. You can do the 1 to 10, you can still do that. But you can also do the 1 to 100, or it's more likely 1 to 100,000. By using social media, people get to meet you, see who you are, as we're doing right now. And people can then, come and see you. And while they're doing that, while they're watching that Reels or Facebook Live or whatever it is of you, maybe you recorded it 2 days ago, you're spending time with your family while 700 people are watching that reel.
I guess my question leading into this is, do you think that people are burned out on social media and they're looking for something new?
I don't think so yet. I think it's still a new enough platform that people are still consuming it, and like anything else, it's always up and ripe and ready for a refresh. Everybody always loves pizza. Everybody loves pizza, right? Always have, always will. Well, somebody said, hey, well, we're going to start putting, I don't know, pineapple on pizza. Really? Pineapple? Yeah, that's different. Here in Maryland on the East Coast, we'll put crab meat on pizza with the Old Bay seasoning. And then let me tell you, that's really, really good. It's different. It's refresh. It's still pizza.
Well, as I listen to the trends out there, I mean, the yellow pages used to dominate marketing, and then the killer ad in newspapers used to dominate marketing.
Yep.
And now Google and Google reviews and Google places and all that is starting to dominate marketing. And yeah, like you mentioned, you have to have reels on different platforms, and you have to be savvy with like how to do these things. And I do think that people are at record pace getting content and information in front of them. And if it doesn't make them laugh or have an emotion, it's probably not going to be effective.
Right.
So how do you feel that chiropractors can use what's going on right now and be effective with communicating on these platforms?
So communicating on the platforms, anything on screen is an eyeballs on screen experience. It's why the news media is so divided. It's not really about providing the news; it's about eyeballs on screen. So there has to be some shock effect. I am not a huge fan of chiropractors showing adjustments and having a radical result and person jumping off the table and all this kind of stuff, because it's just not real. It's just not real. So to tell a heartfelt story about a great patient outcome, I think would be fantastic. To show a quick video of a baby being adjusted and an explanation why. Okay, you've drip fed that information. Oh, chiropractors do babies. It's okay. It's safe. Chiropractors working with the elderly. Okay, it's safe. It's safe for my grandmother, for my great grandmother to go to the chiropractor. In fact, by going to the chiropractor, my great grandmother will live longer, take fewer drugs, and spend fewer days in the hospital, as the old research study showed. Sharing information like that with drip education, I believe, is what will get it done.
Well, 15 years ago when I came into chiropractic, I was always, I guess, encouraged to educate people, whatever it took.
Mm-hmm.
Like my career started out doing patient testimonials and interviewing people at different offices and helping put together small commercials for promotion. And then I started working in an office, and then I started filming technique videos and learning about Blair upper cervical.
Mm-hmm.
And I started learning about rugby and Palmer and how chiropractic spread worldwide. And I'm like, there's so many interesting things to educate people on about chiropractic.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think so many times people become very omnidirect, and they're like, if it's not going to produce me what I want, I'm not doing it. And I think we've kind of force fed anybody that wants to educate that they have to have like a marketing approach. Like it has to do something for you, and it has to like draw something out of people. And I think education for the sake of education, like you're saying, still matters. And you can't always have the what's in it for me attitude when it comes to content creation. Sometimes you have to be a creator for the greater good, and it can't lead to all roads feed me. And I think that that's a really important thing for people to take in consideration, because as you said, some things are sacred. You don't want to share everybody having this adjustment and putting that out there and miking it up to where everybody hears everything. Like, I guess we're beyond whether or not we want that or not, because it's out there.
Right. Absolutely.
The same way, whether I would agree if somebody should be having really attractive women and yoga pants and revealing tops be adjusted, and that's what people see as chiropractic.
Right.
You all obviously the clickbait effect of getting people to watch that content's probably greater than me interviewing a 70-year-old woman that went to chiropractic.
Right. Yes. You're right. You got to get the click. You got to get the click. You get the eyeballs on the screen.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But I think that there's different ways to do it, and that's really, awesome for us to discuss. But let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your views on young DCs and what they can do to improve their understanding of the profession. Because I know the reason I front load our show the way that I do with subluxation, innate intelligence, universal intelligence, because they're not getting that in the schools.
Right.
They're actually watering down that part of philosophy and removing some of those that language from the education. So what's your advice to young chiropractors to develop themselves better?
So, the best advice I can give a chiropractic student or even a chiropractor who's young in practice is to call as many chiropractors as you can and go and visit their offices. With my 30 plus years, I don't know any chiropractor that wouldn't welcome another chiropractor into the office, from out of state, from another town, from the other side of town. Let me show you what I do. We as a profession, we love to share. Here's what I'm doing in my office. I have stopped into chiropractors' offices when I'm traveling and just introduced myself, said, I'd love to see your office. And I'm always welcomed in. Chiropractic is a family. Chiropractors are brothers and sisters. We may fight like brothers and sisters, but at the end of the day, you know what? We're still family. We see the same things, and we're doing a lot of the same things. We have a similar mission. So for young chiropractors to go and visit as many offices as they can to help identify, this is what I want to be doing. There's a rule in chiropractic, and it's interesting, James. I've never heard you say this. I've heard it and seen it many, many times. Whatever a young chiropractor does and learns in the first 6 months of their practice is most likely what they will do for the next 20 to 30 years. So knowing that, the young chiropractor should be very selective about what it is they're choosing to learn. So go to offices. Does this office do, feel, and be the way you want your office to do, feel, and be? So you know what? I want to learn that. I want to learn that table talk. I want to learn that style of providing these therapies. It's all those pieces. Pick and choose very carefully. There was a great chiropractor. She's now long since retired. She went to one of the more philosophically based schools. She and I met when we were taking board reviews to take the Maryland State licensing exam. I'd gone to national, as I said. She'd gone to a more philosophically based school. Her first job was working in a personal injury office. And you know what? People are involved in accidents. They absolutely need care. And if someone chooses to specialize in personal injury, I think that's just fine. My first job was working in a subluxation-based office. Okay. And when she and I would get together, what we quickly found out was our philosophies were crossing. She was becoming more of the scientific, hardcore, statistical. I can back up what I'm doing by research. And I was becoming more and more of I own that. I got that. I know that. And really connecting, with the chiropractic philosophy of above, down, inside out. The innate heals because we are connected to the universal intelligence. And by removing that, it works. So my best advice is choose very carefully what you want to learn and then go learn that.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue VA, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, the Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from a full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. And I think this leads us into another topic, which is an alignment. And we were talking off camera about seminars and conventions, and about how everybody's out there with their baubles and trinkets and trying to get people to buy their hot new thing. But is that in alignment with your practice model and your practice style? And does that actually like focus on the person, or does it take your focus off of actually being a chiropractor?
Oh, exactly. Right. Yeah, as you were saying, and as we were talking before, yeah, when you go to any of the large conventions, state seminars, all these kinds of things, it is amazing. All of the companies that are there, selling all of the latest technology and gadgets, and and in my time, I've seen the rise of decompression. I've seen laser therapy. Dry needling's become a thing now. Shockwave is a current new hot thing. And again, the people who are selling these things, that represent the companies, man, they are gangbusters about it. Years ago, there were several different weight loss programs that were being put for chiropractors to do in their office. And again, all these things are great. They're all good. I get it. People need these things. But what are you doing in your office? What are you choosing to provide to your patients? And does that align with your purpose? If your purpose is to remove vertebral subluxations and help the body to work from above down, inside out, as close to 100% as it possibly can, the way that God and the universe designed this body to be, then, does selling supplements make sense for that? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. That's your philosophy. Personally, I've never sold supplements in my office. I've recommended them to people. I think you should go get this. Here's a company that I recommend, but you know what? I'm not selling them. I'm giving the advice. This is what you need to go do. I'm adjusting you. I'm your chiropractor.
Well, I think a lot of these things are really integral for people to at least get an understanding of to, I call it the monkey see, monkey do approach.
Mm-hmm.
If you learn how to do Gonstead and you know how to adjust, heck yeah. If you learn diversified and you learn how to adjust, heck yeah. But if you take your focus off the adjustment and you do everything else, like that doesn't make you unique in the chiropractic space. I think
I'm sorry, it doesn't even make you unique anymore in the healthcare space.
Yes. That's what I was getting at, is there's a lot that goes into people finding their place as a chiropractor, and that's a deep enough, path. And I think that a lot of times people start doing these other things because they have a hard time making it as actually selling the adjustment. So they're like, what else can help me, pay down this damn student loan debt? Or what else can help me like make sure that I can take my family on a vacation? And they start taking their eyes off of the business of chiropractic, and they're like, well, these things have a higher reimbursement. I'm just going to do that now.
So if you're focusing on the money, and when I've taught students at some of the different schools, I say this all the time. If you're focusing on the money and you're becoming a chiropractor for the money, you're going to hate almost every day of your practice career. If you're focusing on helping people get better, stay better, be better, you're going to love almost every day of your practice career. When you really own your purpose, what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, that's what people are buying. And there's lots of different things that will help a person who is in pain, not at their health potential, and help them get there. When you really own what it is you do, why you're doing it, and know how much that's going to help them, they get that. You know, I sometimes I'll talk to chiropractors and they say, "Oh, I feel like when I'm talking about chiropractic, I'm a used car salesman." Okay, and there's a lot to unpack there because we're not selling used cars. We're not selling anything. We're helping people with their health. So, but let's stick with the car salesman analogy for just a minute. So you can be a car salesman, and maybe your car dealership sells a bunch of different brands. You know that maybe you're selling Chrysler and General Motors and which is Chevy. And you're and this and that and that. Okay, now think of a car dealership that is so focused on how phenomenal their brand is. That's all they need to sell. Porsche, Tesla, doesn't have to end in an A. It is exquisite. It's defined. That's what I want. Nobody's wandering into a Ferrari dealership going, well, maybe I want a Ferrari. Oh no, that's what you want. You're not wandering to a Tesla dealership thinking, well, maybe I want that. And this isn't about electric cars versus gas cars. That's not what we're talking about. It's knowing your product and being so committed to it. It's the best option out there. And you share that with people. You're not selling it to them. You're giving them the information. And I truly believe, yeah, this is your best option. Here are the other options. But this is the best option in your case.
Well, I think there's a lot there that makes sense to me. And I believe that when people believe in salesmanship as a whole, if you don't have a proper day one and day two with the chiropractic practice, you're dead.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you don't learn how to convert your clients coming from your marketing strategies, whether they be internal referrals or from Facebook ads or from screen events, if you don't know how to convert those people, whether it's an insurance-based patient or a cash-based patient, if you don't know how to convert that person into care, you're dead. So I think that we can get like really clear with people and let them know, like, look, you either learn how to sell chiropractic or you're one in 50% of the profession that doesn't make it after 3 years of chiropractic college.
Right.
So,
and it's crazy. One of my mentors, my early mentor used to say, you can't sell what you don't own. Do you own chiropractic? Do you own it? Do you understand? Do you know what it is you're doing? And when I was a student still in school, an older chiropractor said, when y'all graduate, your chiropractics. But you hope this thing works. But once you've been doing it long enough and you've helped enough people, you become the chiropractor because it works. And God bless him. I'm sure he's long since gone. But I mean, that's what it's about. But you're absolutely right about your day one and day two. Someone finally finds their way into your office. They took time out of their day. They drove to your office. They got themselves there. They filled out your paperwork online or in person. If they don't start care at that point, frankly, it means you screwed it up. They wanted to be there. I believe day one is I want to hear your story. And as we build rapport, they need to decide, I like this guy. This guy's okay. He really does care. I like him. This makes sense to me. Okay. Your day two is really nothing more than, okay, hey, it's great to see you again. I got the plan. Now let's go get you better. Let's go start getting you healthy again.
yeah, I mean, there is a system within chiropractic that works.
Yeah.
And I love that you understand it and I understand it and you've had enough experience and I have also. I know we have a few minutes left today, but let's talk podcasting. And I know that one of the topics that you want to discuss was keep learning, even after chiropractic college. And I think that that's a part where kind of chiropractors get like formed into it. You have to go and get continuing education every year.
Yep.
So it's a part of like the bylaws that you didn't know that you signed up for when you went to chiropractic school. But there's other resources out there too, besides seminars and conventions that get people education. And I think we're talking a lot about that today. Whether it's how do you do your marketing, how do you learn to be a practitioner, how to disseminate the information that you've learned and put it into practice. How do you develop a practice that is of what you want? Why did you go to school for this long if you're going to just do laser and shockwave, unless, some, God forbid, you got some type of an injury and that's what you have to resort to. Or you realize that that's the best way to make money and that's your main objective. So I think that there's a lot that goes into it, but podcasting, you have your own podcast, For the Love of Chiropractic. Once again, guys, go check him out, For the Love of Chiropractic. Why podcasting, and how does that help educate people?
So, excuse me. So after practicing for over 30 years, and and consulting privately with clients one-on-one, and trying to help more chiropractors become more successful, because the statistics of chiropractors is just depressing. On one of the episodes, I really dove into what chiropractors earn on average compared to all other doctors. I'm not talking just medical doctors. I'm talking about PhDs, mathematicians, the person who got a PhD in literature, so they're an English doctor, doctor of mathematics, all those things. And when you look at those statistics, the average doctor, all of them together, earn $108,000 a year. That's, from the top neurosurgeon in the world down to, again, the person who's teaching at a community college, that has a PhD. 108. Where do we chiropractors fall in that range? The average chiropractor earns just less than $100,000 a year. We do this amazing thing. We can adjust and tune the human nerve system so it's working closer to its optimal level, so the person can have an optimum life without drugs, without surgery, and we make well below the average of what all doctors make. That makes no sense to me, and it boggled my mind for years. And with my mission of helping as many people as I possibly can, it didn't make sense continuing to coach chiropractors only one-on-one. So in conversation with a longtime friend and actually a previous client, a wonderful chiropractor out of Indianapolis, we came up with the idea of this podcast, and the title, actually, he helped inspire it, For the Love of Chiropractic. That's why I do the podcast. And on each 20-minute episode, I'm literally giving away the information that I've learned over these 30 plus years of how to make your practice better. There is no reason for any chiropractor not to have the life and the practice of their dreams. I mean, just listen to these episodes. That's why I chose to do podcasting.
I know that I was going to ask you earlier, like going around and becoming a professional speaker, did it help with your career? But it's a two-part question towards the end here.
Okay.
Did going around becoming a platform speaker at seminars help your career? And now, has podcasting helped your career?
So depends on how you define the word career. If my career is being a practice-based chiropractor, in the room, seeing patients, has it helped my career? Probably not really. It certainly helped my credibility. When I can say to patients, I've taught and lectured at several different chiropractic schools. Oh, I won't be in the office this weekend because I'm going out. I'm teaching, lecturing at Parker, at this, at that. Okay, so in that respect, it helps with your credibility, so to speak. And if a chiropractor wants to build a stage presence, I think that's great. It will certainly begin to move your career in a different direction. So if your career is defined as being in the office seeing patients, probably not. If it's to build a chain of clinics, okay, now you're a nationally known speaker, you'd have an easier time attracting young associates, I would think.
But I guess what I'm getting at is, did it help you establish yourself as a coach better towards that part of that chapter of your life? And were you able to have more access to people, and people are like, dang, I want to work with Robert?
Oh, absolutely. Of course. Just like building a chiropractic practice, the more people you're in front of, the more people hear you, they see you, you're a real person, and the right people will go, and I want to learn from that guy. I want to listen to him. I want to talk to him.
And now at this stage in your career, I guess more appropriately, what has podcasting done for you?
So podcasting I have a daughter who's in chiropractic school. And part of the reason for the podcast was to record in perpetuity some of these pieces that I think all young chiropractors need. I think all chiropractors can benefit from it. So the podcasting has helped to create a stage of so this is who Robert Frieman is. This is what I've learned. Take it for free and run with it, because you deserve to have a better life and a better practice.
Well, in the world of sales, I know we touched on that topic earlier, and one of my favorite lines in sales, to top off what you said, you can't sell what you don't own.
Mm-hmm.
And the greatest in the world, give them what they want and sell them what they need. And
yes,
I think that the world wants access to information,
mm-hmm.
but they have to understand that the wisdom that is bestowed within my episodes and your episodes, there's a database, a modern library of videos and audios that are so darn valuable. Like you said, you wanted to create something in perpetuity that would have a shelf life of forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of the greatest regrets that people get to in their lifetime is they didn't ever interview their moms or grandmas or dads,
absolutely.
or fathers or children even. I think that that's what's really beautiful about what you're doing with For the Love of Chiropractic, and what we're doing with Hustle is we do have something that establishes a timeline of meaningful content that people can tap into and check out anytime that they want to. That's readily available to them for free,
Right.
as you mentioned a few times. And it is something that other people can share and learn and go crazy with links like people like to do. Like, I think that the first 4 or 5 things that people mention to each other now when they meet each other is, hey, I'm going to send you a link on something.
Yep.
Real.
Absolutely.
Like as soon as you meet somebody, like you can't go 10 text messages without somebody saying, hey, I'm going to send you a link on something.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's the
Yes.
culture that we're in today, is we're a link sharing culture.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said earlier, you got to create creativity with the reels and the shorts and the ways to get people like that instant dopamine hit of excitement with chiropractic. And if you can do that regularly, now we can educate the new era of people that are consuming content. And really, that's where I think chiropractic can go, is what BJ Palmer started with WOC. Now we are modern day BJ Palmers, sharing content in podcast format. And I always joke around when I give a lecture or a talk at a convention, and I'm like, and BJ Palmer, this guy over here, I point to him, I go, I would have probably hired him. And then we all laugh. And then I say, well, probably he would have hired me.
Exactly.
Well, with that, Dr. Robert Frieman, your episode 653 of the Chiro Hustle podcast, his website, go check him out, fortheloveofchiropractic.com. Now, at this juncture, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Wow. I actually don't think there is. Yes, I do. I think everybody, every practicing chiropractor, every practicing professional should have a coach. The best golfers in the world still have a golf coach. The best basketball players in the world still have a coach coaching them, because it's an outsider looking in saying, do it this way. We don't have the ability when we're standing in the spotlight of seeing all the other things around us. So I think hiring a coach that aligns with your vibe, with your mission, and has some proof that they can help get you where it is you want to go and grow is the best advice I can give to anybody.
Yeah. And my advice on that topic is pay the most and cry once. And I think that you should invest into having high quality people and vet them, find out where they're coming from and why you want to align with them. And I think that that's a part of professional development, is investing in good people around you. And the reason that they put rear view mirrors and side mirrors on cars is so you can see your blind spots. Well, coaches are your blind spot viewer. They can see your spots where you can't see and guide you so you don't wreck in both professional life and business life. And I think that a coach can be invaluable. And there's a reason why the people that win the Super Bowl every year, or the people that make it from minor leagues to the major leagues, the reason that they develop the way that they do isn't just because they're talent. It's because people help them and see their blind spots for them to where they have an easier transition with their careers.
Exactly.
So I think that that's a really honest thing for us to end the show with today. Dr. Robert Frieman, thank you for being our guest today. And I hope you have a wonderful day out there in beautiful Maryland. And for now, I just say, like I always do when I close out a show, you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now.
Thank you, James.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.